Hey, brother, welcome to day 5 of 40 Days of Light. Today, I want to start with the application, something I've learned from John Eldredge. I give everyone and everything to you, God. I say that term every day, sometimes several times a day. I give everyone and everything to you, God. You know, everything in our political, cultural, economic, and even our emotional lives is secondary, even though they seem urgent and they overwhelm us sometimes with the volume in which they come to us. They're important and they aren't to be ignored, but they're all secondary to some degree. And how do we know that? Well, it's because Jesus said so. Here's what he says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. He said this in the face of their worries about clothing and food and shelter, just as we have our concerns about the economy, about foreign policy, about domestic policy, about the busyness and stress of school and sports and work and health and all these things that crowd into our life. But they are all secondary, subsumed under the very first thing, which is to seek, which is to pursue, to discover, to look for the kingdom and the king in our daily lives. Not to escape to some kind of blissful detachment or denial of earth and its duties and necessities, but it's to seek first in time. In other words, this should be my first reflex when I'm overwhelmed by something or when some hard, bad, disturbing news comes my way. My first reflex ought to be to seek the kingdom. Lord, I give everyone and everything to you. It also should be first in priority. In other words, I should have a first allegiance to reorient my own demandingness, my own expectations, my own particular things that I want so badly. I need to reorient these things and put first the kingdom of God. After all, what am I defending? To ask the question, am I just a political activist? Am I primarily an American? Am I primarily about the Second Amendment or my property or my investments? Or perhaps I'm just stubborn. Put first the kingdom of God and his righteousness means in priority, I need to abandon some of my own stubbornness, my own cussedness, my own commitment to my own way and trust him. In other words, we need to see that God is first and foremost, not as an escape, but as a refuge. Jesus was always pressured and constantly pressured to join one or another warring political assignments. You know, there were the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Zealots, and the people who just wanted a food supplier or a miracle worker or a military Messiah. But he sought first the Father's will and sought the Lord in his prayer and his disciplines. And as he did so, he found himself guided through the labyrinth of the choices that were being put before him. But when you seek first the kingdom of God, you have a rock and an anchor. You have a master to go to. You have a trustworthy coach. You have a guide who can right-size your problems and put the right perspective on the amount of octane or adrenaline you should put into a particular problem. So this is what I do many times a day to remind myself that I serve a king and a kingdom first of all. Lord, I give everyone and everything to you, God. Try that today. Seek the kingdom first. God bless you.